We're now recording. Pretend that I said everything I said again, and we'll go from here. And Justin is gone again. Justin, are you there? He'll be back. All right, bear with me, guys. Oh, he'll be back. He's literally in a field in Wisconsin. His wife double booked him. He blamed his wife, so I'm sure he didn't tell her that.
What part of Wisconsin?
That's a great question that I don't have an answer to. His business is based out of Rockford, Illinois, which is a northern suburb of Chicago. So I don't know what part of all right. Well, this is fun. I'm almost tempted. Do I need to get him on the phone and just hold him up to my microphone? Let me see. Bear with me, folks. Oh.
I am so sorry. The service has been a little sketchy. I'm so sorry.
Well, the funny thing is when you are talking, the service is perfect. So this is all just so fascinating. Okay, so what I had said, because I don't know when you cut out, like, tell us some of the things that have been working for you within your sphere. And P.S., if you cut out again, I'm literally going to call you on the phone and just hold my phone up to the microphone. But let's see if
that's totally fine. I'm really sorry. So yeah, so what I did is I.
Oh, this is fascinating. He prayed. That's what he did.
3 Ps of real estate.
You there, Hudson?
I'm here. Oh, except this won't really work either because I have you on speaker, which is not loud enough for everybody.
That doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to go into the local town here where I should have better service. Can you give me like 10 minutes?
Sure. We'll sit here and riff. Honestly, I mean, they committed to the time. You're
so terribly sorry.
Hey, you're good. I don't think that you built the cell tower, so I think that we can forgive you. So yeah, drive in where you can get on Wi-Fi, and we'll mastermind in here for a little bit. We got some smart people.
All right, I'll be right back.
You're good. All right. All right, guys. Well, hey, like for real, so those of you, I don't know if you heard all that on Zoom. So he's going to have about a 10-minute drive into where he can get on Wi-Fi. He's sold 142 properties out where it looks like that and doesn't have any cell reception. All right. So what I want to do, and on Zoom, you can feel free to speak up. Like, let's take the 10 minutes to mastermind, guys. Like, who's got something that's either working really well for them right now that they're willing to share, or who's got something where they are really in it and struggling right now that they'd like to bring up, because there's probably a solution in the room. And not everybody all at once, though, because that is overwhelming for me. All right, Karen, I'm coming back to you.
I was just talking to Brittany with Van Dyke Mortgage to find out where is the best opportunity to find these homes that are in forbearance.
Okay.
There really isn't like any one designated location to do that. You can't go to the tax records and that. But what they are going to do is create a marketing piece that we'll be able to mail out to our database and something we can mail to our farm.
Oh, great.
So Brittany is working on that.
That's fantastic. And honestly, let me give you my unsolicited thoughts on this topic. Like, this is just why we have to talk to our people. And like, you know, he made a great point in the meeting about just like literally, like, we got to let them know if they've got questions that we can help them. Not, hey, are you in forbearance? Because that's a little awkward to ask. And yet, let them know that we're the authority on them. Let them know. I've been telling everybody, if you want to go find listings right now, get your database, and no judgment if your database is your cell phone. Like, I'm not here to judge you. Start dialing through and let people know what their house is worth right now. They have no clue what it's actually worth. They're either completely clueless or they're trusting that Z word. Neither one is effective. And so I would be going through and say, look, you know, Susie Q, it's a care call first, by the way. You're not calling and saying like, hey, it's Hudson. By the way, your house is worth 400. You want to sell it? Can I come sell it? I'd like to sell it. I don't have any listings right now. Let's get weird. No, the conversation is, hey, I'm just calling to check on you. How are you? Da, 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 da. Have a normal care call conversation with them and then say, look, you know, Susie, I consider myself your real estate advisor and I'm serious about what I do. And I just want to let you know, I looked up briefly because of course I know where you live. I sold you the house. You know, I looked up real briefly. I just wanted you to know in today's crazy market, your home is worth $450,000 easy. Did you know that? And then shut up and let them talk. Because they'll either say, yeah, it's really exciting and man, I'm not going anywhere. Or they'll say, wait, what? Excuse me? Like I'm telling you, people don't have any clue what their house is really worth right now. Most people. Yeah, Jed, I'm coming back to you because the Zoomers won't hear otherwise.
I made a care call yesterday to a friend who lives in St. Augustine.
Okay.
Known him 10 years. I know he got laid off in December. Just called to speak to him. He's on unemployment, can't find a job, college graduate, never been unemployed, like wanting to know should he get into real estate. So we had that conversation, but the guy needs money and he's owned his home for 11 years. He is not considered selling it. He says, I don't really have any equity in it, but he did. When I ran the numbers, he had $120,000 worth of equity in his house, and it was a lifeline for him. So I hooked him up with a referral agent up there, but just I know that changed his life. That one like 15-minute call.
See, and this is what I'm saying, guys. Like, this is our job. Like, if you're sitting there thinking that you're going to bug them by letting them know, you know what? People don't exactly lead with, oh, I lost my job 6 months ago. They keep that stuff secret. Yet when you call and open the door and tell them the amount of money that they are sitting on, not only do you win if they're interested, because of course you get the sale, but guys, like, what a huge win for them. And here's the deal. Eventually this market's going to turn. I don't know when. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. I would tell you if I did. It's going to eventually turn. And these people that have tons of equity, when it's too late, might not have any equity left. And honestly, if they're in your database and you didn't tell them and give them the opportunity, it's a shame on you moment. Like, it's on you guys if they're financially screwed. It's our job to let them know. And again, it doesn't have to be, do you want to sell? Just like, hey, I just wanted to let you know what it's worth. They'll tell you if that makes them want to sell, I promise you. Yeah, Phil, I'm coming back to you so they can hear you online.
Just going along with what you're saying, the typical boom to bust cycle in residential real estate is 16 to 18 years. And that's been historical.
Yeah.
And so 2007 to 2020, we're in 17 years.
Yeah.
So just to go with what you're saying. Now, the other side of the coin is in Florida. I believe Florida is going to be very resilient. We had 1,000 people moving into Florida per day in 2020. That's a city every year.
Yeah.
And there weren't 300,000 extra building products out
No.
there. Right? So that cycle is going to extend for a little bit, probably about 4 years. But I think in about 4 years, you're going to see something happen here.
Yeah. So, all right, what else is going on? Who else has got a thought or a question? Yeah, Katrina, I'm coming back to you to make sure people online can hear.
I should have asked, like, what is the one thing or training or whatever that you would go to no matter what you had going on? What would that one thing be? Can you guys please put that on a paper and like give it to me before you leave?
Yeah, and actually,
Write it down.
can I throw your cell phone number up on the board and that way they could text you too? Because seriously, guys, so Katrina and I were talking the other day, and look, I want obviously to provide value for any agent, including the new agents, and yet my goal, like those, I think everybody here at least knows enough about me to know, like, I'm one of you. I will always think like one of you. I'm still involved in real estate. I still have a team. And I want to create stuff, and Katrina wants to create stuff. We want to put together things that you will actually want to come to and not just come because you like it here. Like, we want to bring value, and I'm not a mind reader, and neither is her, so neither is she. So I have your number, but I don't have it memorized. What is it? Oh. I'll type it in for the Zoom folks. Yeah, so if you guys have ideas for classes, for trainings, for Mastermind. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, where are you struggling? I mean, we know listings, yet there's probably other things, especially for some of the producers in this room.
Sorry about that, Hudson. I really appreciate your guys' patience.
Hey, we just solved all the world's problems while we waited, so it's all good. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so going back, just like tell us some of the things that have worked for you at a high level. I guess anything, but specifically like within your sphere. Like how have you gotten such a strong sphere connection?
Yeah, so, what I really did is dialed into the days that I was in commercial banking. And, I worked for a very large local bank, and our big key was relationships. And it was very common for us to go to lunches, make phone calls, and stay in touch with our clients. And then I got into real estate, and I didn't see anybody doing that. I just thought that that was normality. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is the way that it goes. And then I had this epiphany, and I said, there's got to be a better way. And so I dug into the relationships, and I looked at, where my business was coming from. And, being newer at the time, I said, okay, well, who am I not getting business from that I have the potential of getting business from? Who is well connected? So I identified my sphere of influence the same way that I would have done with contacts in the banking industry, and identified who I wanted to do business with, which I think that's a really big key that a lot of us real estate agents don't think about, is that we're going to naturally repel people, and we're going to naturally attract people. And that's okay, because if you focus your time and energy on the people that you appeal to and the people that you would naturally hang out at the bar with, have a martini or a beer or go to lunch or coffee with, your life is going to be so much happier. And that's the main thing, is I focused on who I wanted to do business with, and I branded myself around them.
Awesome. So what are some of the ways, like 142 deals? I mean, what's your biggest communication thing? Is it phone? Is it email? What's the mix? Like, how are you keeping in touch with your people? What's your playbook?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and that's something that I really looked at closely, because you don't want to be too heavy in artificial intelligence or the auto plans. And I think that the one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that as much as we try to isolate ourselves through social media and try to avoid those phone calls, we really naturally have a driving desire for personal touches, personal relationships. So my primary focus on my playbook is face-to-face. So I make it a point to have coffee or a lunch or drink with at least 10 people a week. And I did that even through the pandemic, with the exception of a month when I think that we all thought the world was coming to an end. But what I did is I substituted that, and I went to virtual coffees. Hey, let's see each other. Let's hang out. Let's talk. What's going on? How's the family doing? What are your plans? And just kind of, envisioning the future. And then I intertwine that with a personalized newsletter for past clients, just giving them market updates. And then after that, that's the only thing real estate that I talk about. And then text messages. But yeah, it's mostly face-to-face, intertwined with phone calls and text messages.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because I know your market's just as crazy, if not, like, how much inventory do you guys have? Are you at like less than a month like we are?
Yeah, we're at 15 days. We have 263 houses on our MLS right now. I'm thankful enough to be duly licensed, but still, I mean, that takes me to like 350 total houses.
Yeah. So, okay, so tell us, where are you, I mean, your sphere, but like, what are you doing to get listings right now? Other than, I'm sure some fall out of the sky because you're well connected, and yet what are you actively doing to get listings right now?
So I described it at a local mastermind. I am kind of playing it like a tender of real estate. And so What we do at our team meeting is we identify what our buyers agents are looking for, and then I go out and I have developed an essentially like a private network email list as far as like a weekly list of homes. Hey, this is what our clients are looking for. If you or somebody you know has something that meets this criteria, please let us know. And then we're getting creative as well, and just as far as with potential job losses, forbearances, and things of that nature, as far as just trying to stay ahead of the curve with some of these folks, and it's played off very well. I have right now probably about $3 million in contract based on those emails, based on connecting people.
Oh, so just off sending out your buyer needs, you've got $3 million under contract right now?
Yep.
That's huge. Okay. So tell us, like, let's dive deeper on that if people want to R&D it. So like, what does it actually look like? Do you reference people's names? Tell us more what that email looks like.
Yeah, so the email essentially looks like, wanted, and then I put in the description of the house. And if the clients have particulars as far as like they're looking for some updates and things of that nature, I'll kind of, put in some examples, some visuals, if you would. If people really don't care and they're just trying to get into a particular area, I'll just emphasize the true needs. And I put, buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer 3, or whatever the case may be, and people will reply back and they'll highlight the house that meets the criteria that we're looking for, that they have somebody for, or that they own. And we obviously, when we do that, we sweeten the kettle, because we all know that, houses are just selling themselves. And so we have to provide a value proposition, because we're not spending marketing dollars on those. So we have to be creative, because otherwise it doesn't necessarily incentivize the people to necessarily sell.
Okay. So how are you getting creative? Tell me more about that.
So what we're doing is we're being creative by the fact that since we don't go to the open market, we have a lot of people who they're in the process of selling and they need to find another house, or they're building. So we do a lot of rent backs, post occupancies, and then also just we're picking up some appraisal fees or some inspection fees, just whatever we can do to sweeten the pot.
Okay. So I'm assuming that every once in a while, somebody responds and says they have something and it doesn't actually work for that client that was identified. Have you converted any of those into your own listings?
I sure have.
Okay.
Yeah, and the big thing is identifying what their big why is, and truly understanding that, and then being able to help them see the problem that they need solved and how we can make that easy for them. Okay,
cool. So tell me this. So that's a lot of work that you're doing with having one admin. Tell us a little bit about what your admin does and doesn't do for you.
Okay, so now I have a second admin that's coming on board because of some of the pressure. But what my admin basically does is she will compile a list of the calls that we all need to make. So each day we'll have tasks assigned to us, and she holds us accountable for that. And then she also works to ensure that the transactions are going smoothly, leads the transaction coordinator, and she will also facilitate some of the communications with the prospects and the clients as far as setting up the appointments. She really is what I call the nucleus to our business, and she grounds us. And when I brought her on, the most vital aspect of her role was creating a playbook, because I wanted to scale, and I knew we would scale. And I wanted it to be where if we brought somebody in, they would be able to read this itinerary and be able to do the job at a high level. Okay. And so she created that playbook. So as we're bringing in our new admin, it's a seamless implementation. Okay, that's great. What about, because I know you're a spear-based person. First of all, I want to make sure everybody just caught that he has a system and it's documented. Do you do client events at all? And have you done them through the pandemic in creative ways? Great question. No, I have not yet. That is something we're working on having our first client appreciation event.
Okay. Very, very cool. Who in the room or on Zoom, who has a specific question that they'd like to ask Justin? Because he's pretty much open book. Okay, Yale's got one. Coming over.
What kind of conversations that are not real estate related when you're sending messages? Is it specifically for like holidays or Mother's Day? Like what touches are you giving them that's making you top of mind other than the
newsletter?
Yeah, so that's a wonderful, a very good question. And it boils down to keeping really good notes. So when I have a conversation with somebody, I'm documenting what was said in that conversation. You know, if they're going on vacation, if there's something going on with their family, you know, essentially the Ford concept, the family, occupation, relationship, and desired method, and documenting that and just having a purposeful follow-up. And if you ever struggle with something, it can be as simple as, you know, hey, Hudson, I just wanted to call you and see how are things going. I haven't talked to you in a while, and I'm really sorry for that. What's going on in your life right now?
Right. Okay. So the bulk of your conversations are totally just care calls. Like everybody probably is over right now, because I think realtors, I mean, maybe it's just me. I think that we get consistent with something and then all of a sudden it becomes boring. So we make this decision that it's not the right thing to do anymore, even though that we know that it is. I don't know if that's just me or if maybe anybody else might fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Well, you know what it is too is that, you know, not every phone call can be that way. It's just like, you know, not one way of communication is always going to work either. So if you have the same delivery method each time, it doesn't really become personal. And so to your point, if everybody's doing that, you know, how can you separate yourself from the pack and come from a genuine aspect?
Okay. Well, I'm curious, what's the size of your database?
My database is about 3,200 people. Now, out of that 3,200, 800 people are somebody that I would walk up to in a grocery store and say hello to.
Okay, but guys, 3,200 sounds like a lot. 800 even sounds like a lot. 142 transactions last year. That's a crazy return. And he's only doing the basics. Like, so if you came here to get your mind blown, it's not that we have a magic pill for you. Like, he's doing the basics and it works at a very, very high level. Where, I'm sure you have some business that comes from things other than Sphere. Where else is your business coming from right now?
So it comes from also people researching me. So, I mean, the reality is that the likelihood when somebody reaches out to you, they've already done some investigation on you. I get people who call me and say, I have noticed that you sell a lot of homes in this area. So that's another real biggie. And then also I have done a little bit of advertising through a local technology company through what's called geofencing. So I'll geofence certain areas, and so there will be some social media ads that will come up and retarget them. But it's not your pay per click per se. So I have gotten a pretty good return on investment on that as well.
Okay. So it's like an electronic farm essentially, like you pick an area and then it saturates it for you?
Yep.
Okay. Very, very cool. Who else has a question for Justin? Anything goes. I mean, like, don't get weird, but anything goes.
How do you choose how do you choose who you're going out to eat with or spend time with? Like, is it strategically based on who they know, or is, I mean, I don't know how to explain that differently.
Yeah,
well, what's your system? How do you're 10 a week? Where do they come from? Is it haphazard or do you have a list? How's it go?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when you first do this, I mean, I want to backtrack a little bit here too and say, you know, when you put your database together as well, you want to make sure that you categorize it as far as, you know, your standard core A, core B, core C, you know, past clients, people who have been referred to you, and so on and so forth. And so when I first started implementing this, it was based on past clients, my core A clients, and then from there, it's been based on, okay, the demographic area as far as identifying where they live, if it's an area that I am wanting to do business in, you know, how are we connected? And if it's somebody that, you know, I haven't met and I'm connected with them through, you know, multiple people, I will reach out to them. So the recipe for that kind of changes, but hopefully that identifies something for you as far as how I select the people. Does that make sense or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like you are being somewhat strategic. Like, you're not straight up just rolling through the database and you get to, you know, Bobby Sue, who you haven't actually talked to in 6 years and has never sent you a referral. Like, you're looking for the people that take care of you. You're looking for the people who are in, you know, are in an area that you actually want to work and not in Timbuktu that you did that one deal for that one time. So there is some strategy to it.
Yes, you know, people will do business with those that they know, they like, and they trust. And so essentially, do I know them? Do they know me? Do they like me? Do they trust me? I want to get to that trifecta where they know, they like, and they trust me. And, you know, out of that 3,000 database, that 800 is who I'm targeting. So I've just recently started a video series that I intend on doing 2 videos a month. Guys, if you aren't doing videos, you need to do video. It is the future. And before
It's
you,
now.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And before you do that, be purposeful, create a brand, because remember, the brand is you. Keller Williams is amazing. I will never leave Keller Williams, but remember, people will choose you, not necessarily Keller Williams. And so I'm doing 1 community-based video a month, and I'm doing 1 either video client testimonial or business owner video. And so I kind of saw your head when I said that about the video testimonial. And here's where my mind is with that. So with that big Z word, changing the past sales, think about it. At any moment, they could drop all the reviews that we have and that
100%.
And so Google my business, start directing people to Google and your Facebook for the reviews. Don't necessarily steer away from them going on Zillow. So if you can do something like a testimonial tree to where it drops to the different platforms that you want, that works. Yet at the same time, hearing and seeing somebody write or talk about you is more powerful than somebody reading it, because you're able to incorporate images of, you know, that final walkthrough or the house that they closed on and then the house that they bought as they're talking about the journey and how you helped facilitate that transaction.
Tell me more about the community videos, so like the other one. Like, what are you highlighting businesses? Are you highlighting neighborhoods? Like, what are you doing in those?
So I think that you've seen the video that I just dropped, and so it was, that one right there was more of like the introductory one where I'm talking about the community as a whole. What I intend on doing, my marketing plan with that video series is highlighting different neighborhoods, different business districts. So building it from a macro criteria, then building it from micro, then macro, and going in and diving deep. So for example, we're a big regional sports destination in the spring and summer. We have a lot of soccer and baseball tournaments. And so people who are coming in may want to know, hey, where should you go and hang out, you know, for dinner, or where should you go to shop, things of that nature. And so it works for that. And then people who are relocating to the area, it's like if you were to Google things to do in Tampa, Florida, what would pop up? You know, I think of it as I'm a realtor and a tour guide from that perspective.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're selling your area. You're selling the community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What else are you doing that work? I know you can't share them. I know you have some slides. So like, I've asked you some questions, like what have I not touched on that you'd like to share about today?
Yeah, I think that I think that something that's really important is not overthinking things and getting paralysis by analysis. Start small and scale it, right? Set specific, measurable, attainable, and time specific goals. Whether it's making 5 contacts in a day or doing a bold 100 or 200 or whatever the case may be, you have to start somewhere. Document and record. When it comes to like the client event appreciation event that we have coming up, and with some of these client contacts, I'm able to really quickly filter out based on tags and come through and reach those people, and it doesn't take me much time. The other thing is to remember, not talk about real estate all the time. If you were to talk to your spouse about work all the time, you would probably get a divorce. So make sure that you intertwine that. I refer to it as commission breath. Don't have commission breath. Go in there with a non real estate motive, and it will come to you naturally. That is really what I wanted to highlight, is just be genuine and have the relationship be the driving factor, and real estate will come second.
Okay.
Or naturally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it sounds like the business that you've built is that you've got 800 people that, whether you see it this way or not, think that they're your good friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I think that, the other thing to stay focused on are the statistics. Numbers don't lie. So I come from a commercial lending background. 10 to 15% of your database is going to move this year. Whether they know it or not, they're going to. And everybody has a referral. And so it's, how do you ask for that referral without asking for the referral? That constant content creation and just so subtly putting it out there and utilizing every avenue. It's like, with the communications, you have the text, you have the phone calls, you have the emails, you have the personal appointments. People get sick of Facebook, so they go to Instagram. Then we have Clubhouse. Clubhouse is another really cool platform. If you're not on there, great networking opportunities for you there as well.
Have you gotten anything out of it tangible, or just good connections? Like, have you found a way to pull business from Clubhouse?
Not yet. I am working on it, but I have I've had really good conversations, good networking. There's a couple of investors that it will come to fruition. It's just a matter of finding the right real estate investment package for them in my area, because we have, with our price points, we have a wonderful rental market. I mean, there's people that are easily getting the 1% and even getting 2% of their investment from a monthly rental income perspective. So, I mean, it's a very profitable area.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us more, because I want to make sure that the people here know, for referrals' sake, like, tell us the areas that you cover other than just Tundra.
Yeah. So I service the Northern Illinois area, right on the Illinois-Wisconsin border, Winnebago, Boone counties, and then I service South Central Wisconsin and the Janesville up to the Southern Madison area and the Lake Geneva area. So it's about a 50-mile radius or so. Now, I know that you're like, oh my gosh, because I'm sure that Tampa can be like Chicago, to where you go one block and it's a different market. Here, it doesn't quite work that way. It's a little bit more of a radius than what you're used to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What questions do you guys have? What can we ask them to add value to the room? This is kind of your time. This is a mastermind. Okay. Whoop. Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm hiring my first full-time assistant. We start in 2 days. Yes, very big deal. I've needed one for a while. How did you get started? Did you sit down and just go over everything you needed? Luckily, I'm getting a licensed agent that's going to be stepping in this role. I'm just I've got so much going on. And I just want to see how you connected with each other, how you started out and what you did.
Yeah, great question. I think that the most important thing is identifying what your needs are, right? What do you need from them to leverage? What are your expectations? I would identify that and incorporate that with the job description when you go to post it. And then have a 30, 60, 90 plan. If you don't have that, go on to Connect. There's some really amazing content out there. I mean, the reality of it is I mean, I know I'm not wowing you guys with anything crazy because I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just following the roadmap that was already there before me and embracing it. So once you identify that 30, 60, 90, what you expect them to do and complete within their 30, 60, 90 days, then publish the job. And then I put an ad on Indeed. I talked to my team leader. So, you know, Hudson's out there talking to people all the time, and there may be some agents that may even be within your office that are amazing, but selling real estate isn't for them. They may be more operational people. So he may, or your fellow agents may know somebody who is maybe struggling and would be a fantastic assistant. And then the KPA. You follow the KPA. You will be doing your admin and yourself a disservice if you don't. So if you're not familiar with how to interview and validate the KPA, I would feel free to reach out to me, talk to Hudson or anybody else that has validated a KPA.
Well, and so the funny thing is, first of all, so Julia already has her person. But it was because it was somebody that I spoke to and that I knew they were looking for a change. So that point's true. And the other thing is, like, this would be my suggestion to Julia in front of the room, but other people, like, if you are hiring somebody, even like you're already chosen, I would still go through the KPA steps with her, because the truth is, at the end of that, you guys will be really well connected, and you'll know how to work with each other if you go through that process, and I can help you with it. Who else? Go ahead. You were going to say something, Justin, right?
No.
Okay, well, just kidding. Who else has a question for Justin?
I have a question.
Perfect. Dinah, you always save the day with questions, by the way, and I appreciate that about you.
Thank you. You're talking about reviews for customers and clients, a video review. So you do that at the final walkthrough. Do you tell them ahead of time? Do you have them sign something? Not sign, but that you can use it as a public, you know, what's your process in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a wonderful question. So just like with everything, it's setting the expectations. And so when I contact them with the final walkthrough details and things of that nature, I basically, if it's somebody that I've identified I want a review with from a video perspective, I say, hey, look, you know what? I really enjoyed working with you guys, and I really hope that you enjoy working with me as well. And what I'd love to do is get a video review. Now, it's not going to take much time, and I know a lot of people are afraid of getting on video, but I promise you that it's only going to be bits and pieces. And I'm going to ask you one simple question of, can you explain the process and how that worked for you? And it can be tailored based on a buy-sell situation. It can be based on, you know, maybe you had an FHA buyer you were able to get approved or get a contract in this crazy market with. Whatever you feel, you're the one that's able to articulate and steer that conversation. And then most people, they naturally want to say yes. And so then you just explain the process. And what I tell them is that, you know, if they're a buyer only, I'm just going to videotape, you know, some of the walkthrough as far as you guys going through there. And then we'll set up a time, you know, maybe after closing, once you're set up and you're comfortable, or we can do it right here or right there at the walkthrough, ask you the question. And then from there, I just have them sign a consent so that I have their authorization to publish that information.
Awesome. And then we had a question in the room, like, where are you sharing that? I mean, I'm sure you're putting it on your Facebook. Are you sharing it other places?
So the video review, so I want to make sure I say this too, the video reviews are a new thing that I'm doing. And so right now they're in with my video editor to be produced. So my intent on those is to put them on my social media. And the advice I was given was to independently publish it on your business Facebook and your personal page, just from an engagement perspective. Because a lot of times we have we put it on our business page and then we share it onto our personal page. And then I have a website that I will be putting it on as far as testimonials. And then I'll probably put it on that Z page under videos as well. Again, it's one of those things to where, hey, look, you know what? They are what they are. And once somebody comes across my profile, I want my face and my brand, my team to show up everywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. What was the first? Oh, he was saying on Facebook. Well, what he was saying is he posts it independently. So he was saying he does not share it from his business to his personal. He posts one on the business, so it's independent posting.
Based on the algorithms.
Do you do business first over personal, or does that matter?
I don't think the sequence in which you post it necessarily matters. I think it has to do with the algorithms as far as getting it out to the audience and how they view shares from business pages to personal pages and how often it's viewed.
Okay, awesome. That's helpful. Does anybody else have a question? Okay, I've got two kind of random ones that I'll ask you and you see what happens. What would you say, like, other than, like, we know that you're Sphere and so keeping in touch with them, but like, is there any one thing that you've done, whether it was last year, like anything that you've done specifically that you would attribute to your success? Like one or two like top things that you've done and that's why you're selling 142 and not 10?
That's a great question. And I really feel that what it boils down to is that I don't come across as a salesperson. And that and community events, people will recognize me from my community events that I've done stemming back from my banking days that I continue to do now, like at the homeless shelters and things of that nature, the local housing authorities. But no, it's just basically being a real person and not trying to sell anybody. And I referenced the phrase commission breath earlier. I tell, buyers that I've worked with, and I teach my buyers agents that, look, you know what, when you're meeting with somebody, let them know that you're not going to sell them on anything, that you're just you're a consultant. And we truthfully talk people out of more houses than we ever attempt to convince them to buy a house. And to me, that just means much more than anything. And if you're not familiar with inspection related items, I would suggest, I'm not sure if it's a requirement for you guys to go to the inspections when you're working with buyers, but it's not for us. And so if it's similar for you, I would encourage you to go to some inspections, talk to your inspectors, because that will really give you some great knowledge to assist your clients in the front end to help alleviate any potential issues that are what I consider rudimentary, in which it would prevent them from going into a multiple offer situation, paying over asking, and settling for the house because they're afraid of going back through the whole treacherous process again, or getting buyer fatigue. So just that I guess in and of itself is something that has helped separate myself as well. And from the listing side, I'm able to help sellers prevent any inspection related issues. And just, again, just the relational approach of how I go about things. So that goes into your Sphere, that goes into making your cold calls even as well, is just being relational, being appealing, and not making people feel as if you're just trying to sell them on something.
Okay. You mentioned community events. So tell me more about that. I mean, you mentioned like charities and such. Like, what kind of community events are you doing? What's keeping you recognizable?
Yeah, so around here we have various things, typically non-for-profit organizations. And so there's an outfit called RAMP, which is basically an organization that assists people with disabilities. And so every once in a while, they'll have events to where there's wheelchair ramps that need to be installed on properties, and they're looking for people to help volunteer. And so I enjoy that sort of thing. And so I'll encourage my team to go with me. It's a great team building exercise as well. And then you're connecting with other people that share the same heart that you have. And a lot of times these people are higher net worth individuals or well-connected individuals. And just through doing something that you enjoy in natural conversations, you're able to network. And guess what? Build that database and create a better society for your local economy as well. So, I mean, it's just, it's fun, and it really just, I get the goosebumps even talking about it. So
That's awesome. So I asked you like the number 1 or 2 things that made you successful. So here's where the other one I want to ask you is, do you have 1 or 2 things you could share that were like absolute mistakes, like the worst mistake you ever made? Because I believe that when we can help people avoid that type of stuff, it's huge. So anything you've done that you're like, dang, I shouldn't have done that in the past.
Yeah, going against the models, 100%. I hired a buyer's agent before I hired an admin, and it was a disaster. Yeah, so don't do that. And I wish I would have leveraged sooner. I wish I would have hired that admin much sooner as well. So that was an absolute disaster. Comparing myself to other agents, that was a disaster. Look, guys, it doesn't matter if you sell 5 houses a year, 1 house, or a bazillion houses a year. The number of houses and the amount of money that's in your bank account is not going to make you happier. I promise you that. So don't compare yourself to other people, and be happy with what you have. Once I stopped comparing myself to agents in my marketplace, it was a weight lifted off my shoulder, and I just naturally grew as well. So I would say that those are the two of the major things that I would avoid.
How did leverage start for you? I'm certain you didn't go from solo agent doing everything to full-time assistant. I'm certain there was some stuff in the middle. What was your bridge in leverage?
Yeah, so my bridge and leverage was through the KPA, identifying what was my assistant's strong points, and then keeping a watch of that and what I felt comfortable giving away. It was incremental because I'm kind of a control freak, which I think is why I took so long to hire an admin.
You're in good company. I swear. Well, and hey, what I was really more asking is, so before the admin, like, where did you leverage before you had an admin? I'm sure there were things that you did within your business to leverage yourself and your time before you had somebody full time. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And unfortunately, I didn't leverage. I won't even lie on that. I did everything.
Okay. All right. Well, you're crazy.
I was crazy. Yeah.
No, that's cool. God, I had something else that flew right out of my brain because I'm at that age where that happens. Okay. What does anybody else have a question for Justin? Going once, going twice, like the question that I had, and I cannot recall right now. So that's just fantastic. Oh, this is what I was going to do because I have a captive audience. Because I wasn't going to make it about this, and yet I know you threw Bold, and we have a Bold coming, and we have a lot of people signed up, and we have a lot of people not signed up. You took Bold. I mean, I was there. I was the coach. You took Bold as a mega agent. You were already one of the top agents in your market when you took Bold. Can you give a quick snippet of what you found valuable out of Bold, and why somebody who might be in this group right now and isn't signing up, and maybe they think that they don't need to sign up because they're experienced, like, give a little feedback on that if you would.
Yeah, I would definitely say that there is always continual room for self-improvement, and sometimes it just requires getting back to the basics to bring a realization that, you know, there's fine-tuning that you can do. It brought visual clarity to me, and the other thing too is that I remember it as clear as day when we had to get our family signature and their buy-in. And it goes back to that leverage question that you have. I was crazy, and I nearly lost my wife, and I was going to have a split home. And when I explained to my kids what I was doing, my now middle child said, all right, Daddy, let's go create this plan. We want you home more. And that right there just solidified everything. And then, trusting the process that you put in bold, it just it opened my eyes. I'll take bold 100 times. Every time it comes up now, I will never not take bold. It is worth your investment 100%.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very, very good. All right. Any last question before he goes? Thank God for Wi-Fi.
Right. And I am so sorry about that.
Very
And I really want to thank you and everybody for your time. And I really appreciate your patience as well. And I hope that you guys all have an amazing 2021.
Fantastic. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you being here with us today.
I appreciate you.
Boop, boop.
All right. Yeah, I'll try. You too.
Not a problem here.
All right. Bye. Bye.
Yeah. All right, folks. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you for pivoting through on the technical difficulties. And you know how to find me. I'm here to help you. Have a beautiful day. Go sell some houses.